Every giant step is unpleasant, but then obedience is always better than sacrifice. Please allow me to share our experience with you. It might just inspire you. So this year, the Lord spoke to me, and I heard clearly that we should take Foros Times outdoor. I was like, outdoor? Well, okay. So I had a meeting with the team members, and I told them, guys, this is what the Lord is saying. Me knowing the cost involved with outdoor events, I told them that, I'm looking at this venue here. I wouldn't want to disclose the venue, but this small venue here that with even monitors, stage monitors, and that we can still have their service. And then they were like, oh, okay. Then I remember one team member was like, Banana, is this place not too small to accommodate our numbers? Because the place is not even big enough to have about 100 people. I was like, oh yeah, they'll stand, so we should be fine. Then that was that. We were like, okay. Then we had a general stakeholders meeting with our partners. And then I proposed the idea again. Okay, so this year, this is what the Lord has told me, that we'll be having our debut outdoor event for Foros Times. And this is the venue I'm thinking about. Then one of the partners was like, okay, he thinks we can go to Junction Mall. Trust me, as much as I was excited, I was burned with anxiety. Junction Mall. Whoa. All right, so I said, okay. Then fortunately, another partner also seconded that, he thinks Junction Mall will be a nice place, it will be a good place. I was like, these people, we must not walking here. All right, so I just said, okay. And over the years, I've had people make promises that, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to help you. This year, I think we should do it this way. And then at the end of the day, the same people go like, unfortunately, we are not in a position to help you. Some things have constrained that you can't do anything. So over the years, I've learned to manage my expectation when it comes to doing things big or doing things the way people are actually suggesting you do it. So when this whole Junction Mall thing came, I was like, oh God, Adi, obey here. But then I had to just trust in the word of the Lord and then go by what the Lord was saying, not necessarily what our partners had proposed. Then in my anxiety, Philippians came to mind, that be anxious for nothing, but in anything with prayer and supplication, let your request be known unto God. So I kept telling God, this is another edition. Every edition you've made it. Every edition is, trust me, you've seamlessly done it at the 11th hour. Because let me just pass through with this. There are editions that we did that on the day of the event, we didn't have the balances of the vendors we were using. But then for some reasons, the vendors will go like, okay, I think I came for the program and I realized that you are not even raising funds for the program. So I think you can keep the balance you have to give me. And I go like, oh, are you serious? And they go like, oh yeah, like I think you can keep it. That's my support for the program. And then that cost is waived off. So I was trusting God. And one of the things is I quickly went on our page and I told the team that this is what the Lord has told me, that this year too He's going to see us through the event. But then let's do our part as a team. Let's do our part. And then that was it. Trust me, nobody knew I was anxious about Junction Mall. Nobody knew I was having my own fears about Junction Mall, except myself and God. You understand? But then one thing that crossed my mind was what I shared from the beginning, that every giant step is unpleasant, but then obedience is always better than sacrifice. It is said that to every assignment comes its own challenges. The word of the Lord came to me. Of course, I believe in it. But then it also came with its own challenges. I'll share a few of them with you. So this year has been one of the, I wouldn't say toughest, but one of the funniest as far as our preparation was concerned. So we started off the preparation. My BVs, I have a team I work with the BVs, and two of the BVs already communicated that they wouldn't be available. So one was schooling, and she doubles as a nurse. So work and school was simply not going to make her avail herself for the event. So I understood it, and I also didn't want to stress her as far as knowing she's schooling and working and still pushing her to. So I told her, okay, that's fine. Then unfortunately, one of our team members lost her dad. And then the funeral was, I think, slated around August, where we were supposed to have Foros Times. And obviously she has to prepare or, go through the process of putting things together for the funeral. So automatically she also wasn't going to be available. I had to talk to other people I know as far as singers are concerned to come on board. So technically I brought 3 people. And then guess what? 2 weeks to the program, the tenor guy wasn't showing up for rehearsal, so I had to reach out to him. Guy, what's up? I'm not hearing from you. Only for this gentleman to tell me that, he's making plans to travel outside the country. Then I'm like, and couldn't you have told me that you are leaving the country or you are going back to your country, at least knowing that I have brought you to be part of a project? And I was like, wow, God is good. Let me just quickly look for the way out rather than complain about the challenge that has occurred. So quickly I had to engage another person to come on board. Few days to the program, probably 5 days to the program, another soprano singer goes like, I have an emergency, so I wouldn't also be available. God, what is happening? At this time, I was like, okay, let me just go and contact one of my guys I know who runs a group that what we call it, backs productions and do all those stuff. So I engaged him, and I'm sure the quotation they gave me is even because they know me. And the malami who quotation, Mr. Raji, the quotation, you may escape the as if that is not enough. We printed partnership seed card, and then we had a soft copy versions that we sent out to individuals who have been supporting us over the years, and people we think they are in the position or the capacity to support us. So we send this cards around, and we send the soft copy around too. Trust me. Oh, you hear from us. Oh, you hear from me. Oh, I'll send it today. Man, thank you. And of course, I'll be on the team when your quota coming, and they go like, oh, I've not heard from our people. One lady nearly cried, like, Nana, I'm not hearing from the people. The people are tossing me. If I call them, they say, hey, only a wicked star. And I'm like, no, it's well. God will see us through. Let's just be calming down. I'm talking about this so that you know that even amidst the word of God that He was going to see us through, we still had challenges. We still were faced with things that nearly demoralized me. That, oh, what is happening? Is everything going to be fine? But then I remember telling my team members, I remember telling my wife, I remember even telling another person that I'm not moved, I'm not perturbed about what is happening at all. It looks like this is one of the first miseditions that I was not moved by the challenges or the hurdles that were the storms that were kind of blowing towards us. I was not moved. From the financial bit to the music wing, I wasn't moved. Maybe I held on to the word of God so firmly, knowing that He always sees us through. And for me, that was assurance. You might have probably heard the word of the Lord, and it seems like upon holding on to it, things are still falling apart. Trust me, God is at work. You have no idea. For all you know, everything that is happening on the physical aspect that it seems like it's not going well, it's actually an orchestration for Him to glorify Himself. And that takes us to the manifestation. What can I say? This year's Foros Times has been one of the fulfilling events. I know you might hold the assumption that it's because of attendance or it's because of the production, but no. It's because for me, I think we made Jesus known to the people at the Junction Mall and even beyond. Because as far as I'm concerned, the sound was traveling, and people in the shops around the environs of Nungwa heard our voice, and they knew we were preaching no one but Jesus. And for me, that was it. I saw that what the Lord told me had come to pass. Junction Mall. Now, indoor programs, not in there. And then Junction Mall, our vendors, our partners, and for the attendants. Of course, I knew our publicity was going well. To see God bring people, because that takes me to the day of Pentecost, when Peter stood to speak about Jesus to the people. These were people who had come to the grounds because of the Passover. But then, that was the same day that the body of of Christ or the church, we had 3,000 people being added to it. For me, that was the manifestation at the Junction Mall. Our indoor events even hadn't recorded the numbers we had there. And then I say that to the glory of God. When God says, I'll build my church and the gates of hell will not prevail over it, I believe I can now say, I have seen it. And I want to tell you the same thing, that hold on to the word of the Lord concerning your life. I've always held that being purposeful doesn't mean living the life of another person. Being purposeful is believing in the word of the Lord concerning your life and then walking in every step He's going to lay ahead of you to the full manifestation of what He has told you. I want to thank everyone that has contributed to this year's production, or let me say this year's service. Those who gave, those who shared our content, those who encouraged me. And for me, the manifestation is to see Jesus glorified and known to every soul that was present, those who knew Christ and those who didn't know Christ. So I want to use this opportunity to appeal to as many of you out there. You might be a kingdom financier in your church. You might be a kingdom financier to a particular ministry. I believe, and I want to make a reference to a post Big Godwin Mate made on Facebook. He said, sometimes it's good to look for the small ministries out there. Look for the orphanage out there. Look for someone who is doing exceptionally well that you think you can support. And then channel some resources to these people. For all you know, God is up to something in your life, and by way of supporting these ministries, God is going to come through for you. So our doors are always open to you. Yes, you. If the Lord touches your heart, which I know He will, to support us, we'll be glad to have you partner with us. Every proceeds that we get after Foros Times actually goes to relieve a postpartum mother at the Tema Polyclinic. So we don't necessarily raise funds for the ministry as a whole to let's say when offset the cost we incur. And I believe you all saw the video we put out there on our social responsibility. So I also want to acknowledge my wife. Yes, my wife. Bible says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from God. I think I've obtained favor from God. Because I mean, when I'm married, one of the conversations I had with my wife in line with ministry is, Oba, you know that people go like, oh, I don't want to marry now because if I marry, I may not have the focus to do ministry and other things. But then I'm married. And then I can boldly say that after marriage, we've been able to do more as far as ministry is concerned than even when I did when I was single. And I want to believe it's through the support of my wife and the favor of obtained from God. By this extension, I'm not saying if you are not married, we are married by force. I'm only saying that my wife has been good to me. So this is how far the Lord has brought us. And this is the journey to Foros Times. Thank you.